Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you my case for why Veto should be buffed. I have a bunch of things here, as you can see, and yeah, I was trying to just take out my own bias and see if there's reason to buff Veto right now, besides people just playing bad. But I think there is. Starting with this first part. So Veto is an odd one. He is flexible in the sense that, wow, not many other agents can be in the right spot at the right time. Okay, literally everybody can if you're, smart about it. But, his abilities with crosscut helps you do that, and evolution lets you, literally not have to move. And interceptor, so on and so forth, right? But I came to realize a couple of things about this. First off, Veto uh, has odd timers. So interceptor has a 30-second cooldown once you pick it up, and that's about the highest one, tied with chamber. If you want proof of that, here's footage starting now. Next up, Veto can't pick up anything but interceptor for whatever reason. And I say whatever reason, but let's look at the other sentinels. Okay, so Sage can't pick up the barrier once it's down, right? Makes sense. Slow orb can't be picked up once it's down, also makes sense. Don't know how you would pick up a healing orb. And, well, hey, you can pick up your teammates with resurrection, okay? And we go to Deadlock, who you'd say also only has one ability that can be picked up. However, you get two of them. You get two sonic sensors that can be redeployed. And GravNet actually is on a cooldown, right? So you'll get that net back. So, all right, cool. There's fine, and Wall is Wall. Then we go to Cypher, who can pick up the trips and the cam. Now, here's the next thing where you'd go, well, Cypher's cam, if it gets destroyed, you're on 60 seconds. Meanwhile, if Vito's interceptor gets destroyed, you're on 45. Which, alright, fine, I'll give you that. However, you still can pick up the spy cam and use it 15 seconds later compared to the interceptor where you're waiting for 30. And the spy cam turns invisible. So there's a little bit better job of being able to hide it. And again, the trap wires, right? You can immediately redeploy and use those outside of the buy phase. Now, Veto is still trapped to the buy phase. Then we go over to Killjoy, who has the alarm bot and the turret that can both be picked up. And, coming to this is where I want to toss out this suggestion here. Not only should Veto possibly be able to pick up the teleports past the buy phase, to make it less clunky for how that interaction happens, now maybe not the crosscut. Probably chokehold is more likely. But whatever ability it is, I was like, well, if you try to do crosscut holding F, it still does that weird hiccup thing sometimes where instead of teleporting, you go to start picking up in the buy phase. So they still have to fix that. But also, they could do what they did for Killjoy, where instead of having to look at it and recall, well, probably look at it, you just hold down the ability button for it. So that would probably work best on Chokehold because I don't trust them with Crosscut right now. And then we go to Vice, who also only has one ability that can be picked up. However, again, the other one is a wall that is indestructible on top of that, um, and two slows, which can be activated whenever you want. Can be destroyed, but can also be activated later instead of immediately on the ground. Also does damage. Then, well, let's actually round this out before I get to the next point. But Arc Rose, on top of that, yes, it has the same 60-second destroyed, but it also can be used and then recalled after 20 seconds. Like, I don't, or can be recalled and then used after 20 seconds. So I feel like a Flash has more versatility, especially when Interceptor doesn't catch certain abilities, right? And we come to Chamber, who has the trip, if you're going to say, but a trip shouldn't be able to be recalled and used at a different point in time. What if you know that somebody's not flank and you use it for, defending the post plant? Well, what would you do then? Well, Chamber can do that, and his rendezvous isn't tied to just the buy phase either. It can be used and recalled every 30 seconds, right? Or recalled and used every 30 seconds. So, any argument you want to make for why Veto can't have his trip be picked up and reused, I wonder why that doesn't apply to Chamber, right? And then, uh, coming back for a second, right? Let's talk about the duration of some things. So Sheer is a 6 second wall that, well, a wall that is indestructible that lasts for 6 seconds, right? You have Sage who has a wall that if it's not broken lasts for 40. You have Deadlock that if it's not broken lasts for 30. You have Cypher who has indefinite on the, trap wires, the spy cam. The cages last for 7.25 seconds, right? That's kind of wild to get a smoke that just lasts for that long. Well, on a Sentinel, I should say, not on a controller. That'd be terrible on a controller. Um, and then hell, even Nanoswarm lasts for 4 seconds, right? Alarm bot, immediately pops. Turret, indefinite. If it starts shooting, somebody has to shoot it to get rid of it, right? And we started off with Vice Chamber. Doesn't really count, like, at all, because, well, two of his abilities are gun. But then we come back to Veto, where Interceptor, once it's popped, lasts for 9 seconds. For comparison of Signature, well, this one lasts for 5. This one lasts until somebody takes the fucking thing out of them. Unless they ungrav net themselves. It lasts until they take it out. Okay. Alright. This one also lasts until they take it out. You have the turret that lasts until they take it out. Arc Rose, technically, can be redeployed and reused several times from the same spot. Um, technically lasts until it's taken out. Chamber Rendezvous lasts until taken out, right? Like you can reuse it from the same spot. Okay. So Sage, I mean, again, that doesn't really count, but looking at everybody else's signature, you're the only one that is tied to, oh, let me make these next 9 seconds last because I won't be able to do it again for 30. Well, 45. But if I pick it up, I'd be looking at 30. So I'm not saying that Interceptor should last until taken out, I think. But it definitely should last longer. Maybe. I don't know on that front. That's definitely the most risque of my what should it do, right? But then coming past just funkiness amongst the Sentinel roster, let's look at how he's doing in ranked. So, he has a 49% win rate currently, which means that he's winning less than half the time that you pick him. But that's made even worse by the fact that only 1.6% being played as the play rate, pick rate, excuse me. Um, which looks even worse when you scroll down and realize that's only being known by Viper and Astra, who are, you'd say they're not bad, right? They definitely are used better by pro players. Vice, who got heavily nerfed. Harbor, who is, I think we can agree by now, not looking hot. Tejo, who got nerfed and better in the hands of pro players. Then you have Veto, and tied with 1.6 is Breach, who also just got heavily nerfed. That's not looking great. So, you know what? Maybe ranked isn't the forte. Where can we go to look besides ranked? Let's see how Vito's doing amongst tournaments, right? Red Bull home ground, 11% play rate. Check the date though. Let's do this funny thing. November 13th through 16th, 11% pick rate. All right. The 20th through 30th for Game Changers Championship, 8. November 9th through December 7th. That's quite a big range. 3%. And mind you, this, as you can see, this is, off season type shit. All right, fine. It's not as big game stakes as this one, but soup. And we go to a true off season tournament, Sentinels Invitational. 3%. No stakes are here really. Like it's just trying shit. Okay. I even went back to the Sin City Classic just to see. 2% there. All right. What's China doing with the agent? 6%. Somehow beating out Vice and Chamber. Don't know what the fuck is up with that, but oh wait, it's the new hotness. Might as well try it out. You have going all the way back to, or going back to, excuse me, going to all the way to tier 3, not tier 3, just complete, just out there shit. Funhaver, Winter Roundup, this is where we see 3% still. Like, okay, cool. Steel December just happened, just passed. 1% over here in Europe. Just again, just small little fun tournaments, okay? I mean, I'm sorry, they're important to somebody. But okay, let's go to Korea and we have 0% pick rate tied with Harbor. November 21st through December 6th. This November 1st through December 1st. No prize on the line. Still worse than Deadlock. And in fact, is that the worst Sentinel? Nah, tied with Sage for worst Sentinel. Okay. Coming back to Europe, November 26th through 30th, we have 8%. And here's some hope. November 28th through 30th and November 28th through 30th, this particular weekend, we see Veto at 17% and 14% for some shit that really does not matter. So, if you want to play for a couple of bucks, fine, maybe. But as we see, for some other ones that yeah, just for fun and a couple of bucks, still not picking Veto. So Veto not only doesn't make sense in the context of amongst his peers in the Sentinel role, uh, doesn't make sense for ranked or isn't seeing success for ranked, can be skill issue. We still have to learn the agent. That's fine. But it also isn't panning out from a tournament scene either. So I just say all this to say that Veto could use a couple of buffs, and this is what I would suggest. Crosscut, I feel, should be able to be redeployed outside of the buy phase. Well, you'd go, but then you could get on top of things later. And I'd say, look at Chamber, who can do that later. So, whatever, right? I'd also argue that Chokehold could do the same. Because between trap wires, sensors, alarm bot, and another uh, trap, another snare, I'd say that it's kind of weird that Veto doesn't do that when the other ones do. Then we have Interceptor that only lasts for 9 seconds once it's popped. Now, the enemy is under threat of it popping until then. But I'm just saying the rest of the signatures, outside of Sage, where that's something else, last until you take it out. So maybe let Interceptor not immediately get blown up after you use it. I think that'd be kind of weird because they should know to take it out by then, right? I don't know. I'll admit Interceptor is a tricky one because if you make it last too long, somebody's never going to get on site with utility, and then he becomes literally overpowered. But currently, the stopping power out of a Sentinel is lacking more so probably out of the entire roster here, more or less. Chamber, you have to get him off the angle, and you could argue you have to do the same with Veto. But it's different. Chamber has instant teleport you don't have to look at, and that's really all it needs to be. You take that right angle that somebody's not expecting with an op, and that's kind of it. Veto, you don't have the luxury of getting out all the same way. And yeah, there's abilities you can stop with Interceptor, but there's also quite the roster of abilities you can't. So I don't know. Interceptor needs to come back a lot sooner compared to everybody else's cooldowns and probably last a bit longer. I don't know. Maybe make it the same duration as a wall, like a 40 or a 30, where you have to take it out. You have to address the interceptor in the room. Maybe that's the compromise that is not indefinite like the other signatures, but it needs something. It's okay, but it could be better because a lot of the things come down to when can you use interceptor truly in the round. You have to be there at the right time, at the right place to activate it for the right thing to come through. And then finally, evolution. I can understand it being 7, but I'd argue it should only be 6, like Reyna and Phoenix. I can understand the 7. I'm not mad if this one doesn't change as much, but you're competing with guy with 5 insta kill bullets, clear the entire site. Well, not clear. Clear the entire site truly. Uh kind of clear the entire site. Information on the entire enemy team. Immediately take out somebody or information. Um and bring back a teammate. So, well, yeah, we're looking at 7, 7, 7, 9, 8, and 8. Maybe this is where you make Veto even more different and make him the 6. That way you have more value more often of being this immovable sentinel. So that's kind of what I toss out there today. I know this might get some heat from some people because I agree, people are not using Veto optimally, and there's definitely room for improvement there. But I do still think that a bit of it comes down to the fact that you are kind of restricted in ways that you probably shouldn't be. Also, crosscut, I'd argue you can even expand the range for teleporting too, because there's some things like back platform of Haven that you should be able to get off a site, I would argue, if I can't redeploy it, right? So yeah, outside of the buy phase. So yeah, that's it for me. If you like the video, like it. Got a comment from me, comment, and until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.